this is my equity action plan. My action plan as a teacher is that I plan to make sure my students are receiving an inclusive, multicultural education. It is my job to inform my students about the inequalities they could come across throughout their education journey. I want to help my students feel included in their classroom as well as being more open minded to their classmates' history and culture as well as their own. Multicultural education is anti racist education. These are three quotes that I was able to find from Nieto and Bode that I feel really represent anti racist education. Being anti racist and anti discriminatory means being mindful of how some students are favored over others in school policies and practices, such as the curriculum choice of material, sorting policies, and teachers' interactions and relationships with students and their families. Rather than viewing the world through rose-colored glasses, anti-racist multicultural education forces teachers and students to take a long, hard look at everything as it was and is instead of just how we wish it were. Although white students may be uncomfortable with discussions about race, having these discussions can actually be a positive pedagogical approach to help them think about their position in society and their responsibilities to combat bias and bigotry. Multicultural education, as an anti racist education, is used to help teach young people skills in confronting racism. It is really hard for students to not be convinced by biases on racism, sexism, classism, ableism, and ethnocentrism, which is why we need to do more than just having lessons in getting along or celebrating human relations. Multicultural education is important for all students. All students are miseducated to the extent that they receive only a partial and biased education. Teachers in primarily white schools might think that multicultural education is not meant for their students. They could not be more wrong. A symbolic violence is waged against devalued groups throughout the sanctioned curriculum and cultural models that require students to abandon their own culture, language, and values in order to succeed. What these quotes show is how students are being miseducated due to the biased information they receive. For example, with the amount of history that isn't included or that is watered down to make another group look better, we need to include a variety of history topics like talking about LGBTQ plus community history as well to make students feel seen. Multicultural education is for social justice. Students' questions can reveal how social structures create stereotypes and lack of information that may lead to tension, alienation, and conflict. Attentive teachers can invite these questions and affirm a classroom culture that creates trustful, respectful dialogue. A multicultural curriculum with enduring understandings based on social justice perspectives can help motivate teachers and students to work together towards social change. These type of dialogues can help students feel comfortable to ask untouched questions in order to express their curiosity about others' culture or question when they come across injustice. These are three quotes that I was able to find from the equity literacy readings. My first quote is students must be engaged in the teaching and learning process, transcend the banking method, and facilitate experiences in which students learn from one another's experiences and perspectives. Ability to recognize even the subtlest biases, inequities, and oppressive ideologies. I will teach about issues like racism, sexism, poverty, and heterosexism. Despite false perception that younger students are not ready for these conversations, I will begin doing so at the youngest age. Students from marginalized communities are already experiencing these problems and witnessing their families experiencing them. It is important to teach about these issues at a young age because not every student is having the same experience. So it is good to help others understand what they are going through. And I think this is really important, especially because I do plan to teach elementary students, and I feel like it's a right age to start letting them know how society works different for a different group. These are my goals and measures. My first goal is that I will do my best to make every student feel included. I am able to measure this by checking the diversity of topics we covered that are not in the curriculum. I also plan to incorporate multicultural materials, like, for example, a variety of books. I am able to measure this by counting the number of books I have available for them to read on their own or in class. And my third goal is that I will help my students feel comfortable with questioning everything in order for them to continue learning. And I am able to measure this by the way my students express themselves, which would be like the level of comfort that they have with having small conversations with me. Obstacles and solutions that I might have are the first one would be parents having complaints about the material I teach, their children not having enough support from the school district. A solution is that I can try to explain to parents the reasons why we need to include this material, as well as talking to other teachers who have the same goals as me, which is to have a multicultural education. This way we can all help each other. And my second obstacle would be being able to change the way people already think about a certain topic. It goes back to also how the way parents think of the curriculum that I plan to teach. But I will try to continue to teach my students about being inclusive and to be open minded, even if others might have a hard time agreeing with what I am teaching them, because it is important to focus on all students' issues, not just one. And my third obstacle is my own self doubt on feeling like I am not doing enough to provide a multicultural education to my students. I can try to start off slow and constantly check on the progress I have done with including a variety of inclusive material to teach my students. Having a multicultural education is important for all students and is necessary to help guide students to having an open mind and question all the information they are learning in school. This can lead them to be able to confront racism along with other issues that they might face in society. These are my references. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my equity action plan.